While we await the first primary debate, a new ABC News Ipsos poll showing 49% of Americans say former President Trump should face charges for his alleged interference in the 2020 Georgia election. Despite that, though, as you just heard from Rachel, Trump is still dominating the Republican primary with a nearly 40% lead over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Galen Druk from the 538 has been tracking it all. He joins me now here at the desk. So, Galen, welcome. How much do debates really matter in the end, and what happens if Trump doesn't show up in Milwaukee?
Traditionally, debates are some of the most important set pieces of a primary election because they focus voters' attention in a way that nothing else really can, maybe other than a scandal or a crisis. They get a lot of eyeballs, and in general, because these are all Republicans on stage, voters are relatively liable to change their minds between the different candidates. This isn't like a general election debate where most of the country has already settled on the Democrat or Republican. Trump here has calculated that he has more to lose, I assume, by showing up than by skipping, because as you can see in our polling averages at 538, Trump is leading the pack with 54% of support on average. And so basically, he doesn't want to run the risk of having someone attack him on stage and all of a sudden having, with all those voters' attention on that debate, become vulnerable and have someone else maybe take a bunch of support away from him.
Yeah, actually makes sense. So look, while the first debate usually signals the beginning, I guess, of voting season, there are many states that have already begun, like New Hampshire, Iowa. They've been in full campaign mode for some time now. So what can we learn from what we're seeing happening in those states?
Yeah, so while we focus a lot on the national polling, like I just mentioned, where Trump has 54% support on average, we don't have a national primary. We go state by state by state, so Iowa, New Hampshire, then South Carolina. And so how the candidates perform in each of those states will influence how they go on to do throughout the rest of the primary. In Iowa, what we can say is DeSantis is doing a bit better than he is nationally. Another candidate who's doing quite well there is Tim Scott. In recent polling, he has about 9% support, whereas nationally it's only 3%. So, 9% still not enough to win, but suggesting that for people who've been paying more attention for months on end, he's a little more appealing than he is nationally. In New Hampshire, Chris Christie actually seems to be pulling in some support as well. It's a significantly more moderate state than Iowa. Iowa is traditionally a Christian conservative state, or at least that's the part of the electorate that really runs the caucuses there. And in South Carolina, we've seen a bit more support for Nikki Haley, which is unsurprising because she's the former governor of South Carolina. But still, across the board, Trump is leading in all of these states. So if something is going to change, the debate seems no longer like one of the opportunities for things to change, but it's not as if one of these candidates is leading in the early states, even though Trump is leading nationally.
There's a lot at stake for each of them in these debates. So what is the significance here of the debate being held in Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's a good question. So not only is this debate in Wisconsin, but next summer, the Republican National Convention is holding their nationwide convention there. So the nominee is going to be crowned in Milwaukee next summer as well. And I would have to imagine what the RNC is thinking is that in the past two elections, so 2016 and 2020, Wisconsin was the tipping point state, which is to say it put the winning candidate over the edge in the Electoral College. For Trump in 2016, for Biden in 2020. It is such a pivotal state. It is very likely that whoever ends up winning the 2024 election will win Wisconsin. Republicans know this. They want to lavish attention on the state, particularly the suburbs around Milwaukee, which have traditionally been a sort of bedrock of support for Republicans, have actually shifted left over the past 8 years. And so I think Republicans are really focused on this state, and they're focusing on it early, and they're symbolically as well by putting the first debate there.
Galen Druk of 538, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.